I'm here with Matt. We're here at ICE Barcelona. Matt, tell us a bit about yourself, how you got in the space, what hooks you, and what keeps you interested in the work that you do in the space.
Thank you so much, Shirley, for having me. Thank you, Sigma, for having me here. We are at ICE Barcelona. It's the beginning of 2026, the iGaming year, the first expo of the year, and it's an amazing moment and an honor to be here with some of my biggest clients, top tiers operators from the biggest regulated market in South America, which is Brazil. And most of them, they came with a C-level, founders, co-founders, owners, business owners. I represent them as their consultant, their partner, and yeah, it's an amazing honor to be here. So to answer your first question, what brought me to the industry, to the iGaming industry, is actually like many years ago. I was uh, I was based in Armenia, and as you know, Armenia is such an iGaming hub for the industry, uh, originally from the platform side, and now from diverse aspects of the industry. And I remember I started with a Digitane, which is a well-known platform provider, technology provider that supports those big operation around the world. And I started from that side, the platform side. And originally, I was probably the only one in Armenia that was both fluent in Spanish and Portuguese, which are my native and original languages with French, and Armenian. So I was doing this. I was contributing to tropicalize that the terminology to adapt the technology to Latin American markets, and I was using my languages, the cultures from there that I knew, to adapt the technology to the operators and to create successful success stories. So I remember the first part of my job was to send those tasks, very long tasks on Jira, to explaining how to modify the technology so it fits the cultural habits of betting cultures in those countries. And I can tell you that Latin America is very diverse also. So, an improvement that you would do for a Peruvian market would absolutely be completely different need for Argentina, for example, which are two iGaming markets that have nothing to do. So, long story short, I started from the PAM, the famous PAM platform provider, a technology based in Armenia and adapting those technologies for LATAM. And later I moved to my own consultancy, my own entrepreneurial adventure. And that's my answer to the second part of your question, which is what keeps me in the industry, what allows me to grow. And I would summarize it in one sentence saying that I grow with the growth of my clients, with the growth of my partners. Sigma, with all those conferences all around the world, is a big part of the ecosystem, of my ecosystem, of the ecosystem of the industry. And I think that it's part of what makes a big purpose for all of us is to generate this growth in the markets where we evolve, but also being always connected to the global part of the industry, because I think that this is what makes us all connected, is to share this global, bigger purpose, and this is what iGaming is about.
Yeah. And I think a similarity that I sense that is very strong in Sigma, and I think which is part of your success, is that you don't just speak the language, but it's speaking the language in the sense that you understand the culture, you speak the culture. So just as we see Sigma as building bridges between different parts of the industry, geographically, especially with our bigger events, I think part of your success is that you have been able to build, to be a bridge. Your knowledge has been able to connect you, to be able to offer your expertise to your
I'm so
clients.
grateful. I'm so grateful for this comment and to you giving me the possibility to build on that comment because, first of all, the success is always a process. So I don't believe success is a place where you just sit and you relax, say, ah, finally I got here. Success is a process and is a construction of day to day, hour
Yeah,
by hour,
yeah,
interaction by interaction, transaction by transaction. And that's the first point. But the most important is actually what you said. And I'm so grateful that you mentioned that because I believe that, you know, the this is why I feel so comfortable interacting at Sigma events and with the Sigma ecosystem, because Sigma is not just those amazing events all around the world. It's this ecosystem, this amazing group of people, this community that is active 24/7 and all the days of the year. It's not merely during the expo. Expo is a big moment, of life of the Sigma. But Sigma is about people, is about the spirit, and I agree at like 100% about what you said about, you know, this importance of, because nowadays it's not about translating the
yeah,
languages because, you know, translators, AI translators, and many other technological tools are already bridging that gap of
yeah,
communication. But I think that it's about adding something about the culture. And how do you translate the culture? This is something that is deeply about a higher purpose in business in
yeah,
general, and in iGaming, so much depends on culture.
yes,
And
precisely.
humbly, if as a consultant, as a partner for the top tier operators that I represent and with whom I work, I can be bridging that gap, then I'm happy because that means that I played my role and that I found in the industry this higher purpose that make us, you know, wake up every day with that will, with that desire
Yeah,
to achieve, and to achieve not for us, to achieve for something higher than
exactly.
us.
Yeah. So we're here at ICE, but in a couple of weeks it's Dubai, and then the wheel just keeps on rolling. Uh, what have you got planned for this year?
So this will be a very intense year. You are right to say that we are here in ICE Barcelona, and such an amazing honor to start the year, as is a tradition in our industry, with ICE Barcelona. But this year will be extremely intense. This year will be extremely diverse. Sigma Dubai is coming in less than a month now, and after this, many other extremely relevant events in Brazil, Latam, and the rest of the world. Back in Europe will be a must. In Sigma Rome, actually Central Europe, that last year I attended, was the first edition, was an amazing success and an incredible experience. Definitely, I want to come back this year. But to give a bit of perspective on that global approach, I think that Brazil and the regulated markets in LATAM are in a moment where now more than ever, operators need to connect more and more with the outside world, with the global opportunities. Maybe in terms of new markets to conquer, you know, this conquest of new markets to give an alternative in the portfolio of operations of my clients. I'm a strong advocate about this type of diverse and versatile strategies. But also, I think that it's important for those same operators to look and absorb the technologies that are constantly evolving. And you know, I would conclude saying that iGaming, in the digital aspect of it, is a strong representation of how fast the technology is evolving, because we are extremely representative in this industry about AI. Just to give this example, how this AI revolution has found in a couple of months, so many actual ways to be used and to be at the service of the success of the operation. This is one more reason for operators from Brazil, from Latam, to go and see what is going on outside of their comfort zone.
Maybe 2 years ago, there was incredible hype talk in the industry about Brazil being the next big market. Do you think we are there? Do you think perhaps um, the expectations were different from reality?
I think that as as it always happens when something big is happening and the regulation of the Brazilian market is, the big thing that happened in the last years, in the iGaming ecosystem, iGaming history actually.
Yeah.
I would say that regulation in Brazil is a process and is in process.
Yes.
Of course, we are entering the second official year of the regulation, but the reality on the ground is much more diverse and a bit more complex. For example, I will just give one example. Regulation of the online gaming in Brazil was actually happening before the activation of the regulation as seen as a federal license. With one example, Loterge, license of Rio de Janeiro, created many years ago, but 3 years ago, so 2.5 years actually before the federal regulation in Brazil, Loterge was already receiving the taxes in the state of Rio de Janeiro from the online gaming through this online iGaming license from Rio de Janeiro. I talked many times, with President Hasenclever, who is a close contact of mine in Brazil, and I consider him being a visionary on that aspect. And so that's one example of how locally, with the state license of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil was already a regulated place in that state before the official state federal license. So the reality is diverse. There is not one date. There are many dates that are improving, polishing this process extremely needed and extremely useful for our industry, which is the regulation. Regulation is like the success. It's not a status, it's a process. And this process, has to include, of course, the legal compliance and governmental institutions, but also has to include the specialists of the industry that could be suggesting and are suggesting improvement to make the regulation a place where operators can thrive,
Yeah.
players can thrive, because we are an industry of entertainment. So the quality of the entertainment has to be guaranteed. But at the same time, all of this has to happen, making sure that it's a healthy and productive ecosystem that is moving forward, creating opportunities for everyone. And by the way, I would like to maybe conclude on that point. Online regulation only created a tremendous amount of jobs, well-paid jobs, by the way, for an entire group of dynamic and young and talented professionals that are, I think, the best representative of this LinkedIn corporate ethical spirit in Brazil and in all the places where the iGaming got regulated. I think we should be proud about that. And we're only talking about the online in Brazil. Let's think about the next step when maybe one day Brazil will also be the center and the pioneer of the retail land-based gaming operations. And I can tell you that retail's operation in iGaming are way more linked to, in French we say hôtellerie and resorts. So the amount and the potential of job creation for a country like Brazil, where tourism is underdeveloped, underexploited, underpromoted, is something huge that could guarantee a huge percentage of the job creation in Brazil in the coming years. So I think, to conclude, that we should be proud about what our industry and the regulations that come with it are bringing to the society. We should be proud in terms of ethics. We should be proud in terms of prosperity that we bring to C-level corporate professionals and young people that are starting in their professional career, and that at some point will enter an industry that is maybe not well known, but is full of opportunities for a large part of the population. So we should be proud. We should be thriving globally, and we should not be shy about the amazing industry and community that we represent.
Thank you very much for your time, Matt. It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Sigma. Thank you.